Good evening to those who listen. It's May 6th, 2026. It's 10:22 p.m. And we're going to go over some Bible changes showing the King James Version and the NIV version of John chapter 11. Dear Jesus, we ask for clarity and understanding in what we are reading. Let us be able to recognize the changes, what is wrong, and give us what used to be, the words that used to say. And if one person doesn't know, maybe somebody else can speak up and let us know what they know. And we praise your name and thank you for everything you're doing in our lives. Amen. Chapter 11, verse 1. Now a certain man, we got a certain man again, and was sick. Wasn't it ill? Not sure, but was it sick? The NIV also says, but at least it says, now a man named Lazarus was sick, instead of a certain man. And then in verse 2, we got, it was that Mary. It was that Mary? Wow. And then, whose brother Lazarus was sick, got sick again, and then we got the emoticon. And we also got in verse 2, okay, this Mary. Wow, this Mary, whose brother Lazarus now lay sick. Again, we got that. Same one who poured perfume on the Lord and wiped his feet with her hair. And an emoticon there, too. Therefore his sisters sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, whom thou lovest is sick. Well, was it Jesus just loved one person? He didn't love everybody? It also says in the NIV, so the sisters sent word to Jesus, Lord, the one you love is sick. The King James Version, verse 4, when Jesus heard that, he said, this sickness, wouldn't it be illness? And then that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Thereby? Verse 4 in the NIV, when he heard this, Jesus said, this sickness will not end in death. So this bad English in verse 5, now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. It should just say, now Jesus loved Martha, her sister, and Lazarus. There shouldn't be another and in there. Same thing in the NIV over here. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. And again, verse 6 says he was sick. The NIV also says Lazarus was sick. Verse 7, we're saying that maybe Judea is spelled incorrectly, but Judea is spelled correctly in the NIV. Verse 8 has nonsense. His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of late. The Jews of late. But the NIV says, a short while ago the Jews were tried. We've also noticed that the Jews have been used a lot in this chapter. Verse 9, does anybody remember Jesus saying this? Jesus answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? Like he's being sarcastic. Like, his disciples saying, why are we going there again when they tried to stone us the last time? Why were we going back there? And then he's answering, doesn't make no sense. Are there not 12 hours in the day? Is the sky not blue? And verse 9 in the NIV, are there not 12 hours of daylight? Verse 11 in the NIV, after he had said this, he went on to tell them. He went on to tell them? Verse 12 is kind of strange. If he sleep, he shall do well. The NIV is, Lord, if he sleeps, he will get better. Verse 13 in the King James, but they thought that he had spoken of taking of rest in sleep. Spoken of taking of rest in sleep. Just doesn't, it's like bad English there. Listen to the NIV. Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. Natural sleep? What other kinds of sleep are there? Verse 14 in the NIV. So then he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I am glad I was not there, So you may believe it's like he's almost threatening, and for your sake, like he's scolding them. We were questioning Didymus, verse 16, in both versions. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, Thomas is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples. All one word. NIV is also the same, also known as Didymus. And did it used to say, let us go, also go, that we may die with him? I know the Chosen had it that way. I'm not sure about that one. And then when Jesus came, he found that he had Lain. Lain? It doesn't sound right than when Jesus came compared to on his arrival. That sounds better. Does anybody remember this in the Bible? Now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off. 15 furlongs? That sounds like horse racing, where they have so many furlongs. The NIV just says it was less than 2 miles. That sounds normal. And then we got, and many of the Jews. Does anybody remember them specifically saying the Jews came to Martha? Wasn't it just people? I don't know. Was it Jews? Same thing with the NIV, and many Jews. Verse 20, listen to this. Then Martha, as soon as she had heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary sat still in the house. Sat still in the house. The NIV says, but Mary stayed at home. That makes more sense. Bad English in King James Version 21. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. Had not died? 22 just has thou wilt. Verse 23, Jesus saith unto her, thy brother shall rise again. So he already rose once. This has been a continuing theme where Jesus is rising again. I just remember Jesus rising from the dead once. Same with NIV. Your brother will rise again. I know he will rise again in the resurrection. Now that makes more sense though. So Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection. Verse 24 though in the King James, that he shall rise again in the resurrection. Not in the resurrection at the last day. I guess that one is too. NIV. Verse 25, Jesus saith unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead. So if you're dead, how can you believe in somebody? And the NIV makes more sense. The one who believes in me will live even though they die. That sounds better. Verse 26, King James Version, and whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? NIV sounds kind of funny. And whosoever lives by believing in me will never die. That's okay. Do you believe this? Verse 27, she saith unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. No, it should be who should come into the world. And it's acting like that Jesus hasn't come into the world yet, which should come into the world, like it's a future thing that hasn't happened yet. Same over in the NIV, though. Look at, yes, Lord, she replied, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. Not that he's already there. Where is he? They're acting like he hasn't come yet. King James Version, verse 28. And when she had so said, she went her way. And when she had so said, and called Mary her sister secretly. The NIV says she went and called her sister Mary aside. Verse 29 doesn't sound right. As soon as she had heard that, she rose quickly and came unto him. Verse 31, the Jews, here we got the Jews, the Jews then which were with him. The bad English in there also. 31 also has when the Jews had been with Mary in the house. Verse 32 in the King James Version, then when Mary was come where Jesus was. Doesn't sound right. And saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. Would have not died. If thou would have been here, my brother would not have died. That sounds better. Verse 33, King James, when Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping. Now we got, where's all the other people? There wasn't just Jews there. Also weeping, which came with her. He groaned in the spirit. Jesus groaned in the spirit. Verse 33 in the NIV, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews, I don't know what it is, why they're just specifically saying Jews, come along with her also, weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. See, that sounds better there. Verse 36 also has, then said the Jews. And the NIV also has, then the Jews said that. And we'll finish off with verse 37. I'll do a part 2 because it's so long. And some of them said, could not this man, which opened the eyes of the blind, have caused that even this man should not have died? All right, we'll do part 2 and just right after this one. Thanks for watching. God bless.